listen to this presentation. We are Primal Code, a group of junior undergrad computer scientists, and today we want to present a revolutionary product, Supply Sense. Making sense of your data has never been easier.
All right, so starting off, what we offer is attacking the supply chain directly. So we know this problem has been unresolved for quite a while now, with overwhelmingly large amounts of data that, every day that we have to keep track. Leading to that, we have inconsistent data as well, leading to lack of transparency, and at least a lot of issues, cost, loss of funds especially. So our solution, we offer 2 services and only 1 product. We we generate usable data, and we visualize the supply chain so we can conceptualize better what we're trying to see and what we're doing.
So how it works, Supply Sense is really a product that has 2 sides. The first side is really getting our data, and our main data is from the documents that are uploaded by our users. These documents can be purchase orders, invoices, bill of lading, any relevant document. And from those documents, we leverage some of the GPT technologies to be able to take all the data we can from that, as well as the data that's between the documents, the connections that kind of are going on that those documents represent. And our product also allows our users, which are suppliers or consumers of different products, and they can add each other, kind of like friends on different platforms, but here they're business partners, and through these connections, you're able to visualize the supply chain all the way up. Even if you only have access to invoices from your direct supplier, we're able to generate that whole view based on the network we create. And we also use AI in this data extraction process to enforce privacy. And the first use case of GPT technology is to extract the data. So we use this type of technology here because it's consistent, fast, and powerful. We mentioned data can be pretty inconsistent in this in tackling this problem, and this creates really big data sets which lots of attributes. So we have kind of an example of how this would work. This is a pretty straightforward invoice, right? Anyone can understand that, and so can our system. Every word you see on here, the system is able to assign a meaning to it. So that's really leveraging the power of this new technology, but they're not all this simple, right? So here's another invoice that's handwritten upside down and in Spanish, but our system can handle that just the same, right? And really, this creates a whole data set. But on the second side, we have sentimental analysis. So that's assigning meaning to the words. And this is what we use to really separate the supply chain, right? So if you're a medical device producer, what do I care of looking at maybe some of the construction materials or vice versa? We're connecting everything to make a big network, but then through this GPT technology, we're cutting that network into supply chains personalized to you, where your supplies are coming from, right? And here we have an example. This is a real example we use. So the target, or what you purchased, was wooden house framing. And what your supplier purchased was pressure treated 2x4 10 feet, that's a description on there. And the other one was round 6-inch 8-foot oak wood. So this model is able to identify the different types of wood, the shape, and make those connections to what is most likely to go in a house, right? So this is some pretty detailed connections that our system is able to leverage.
So what can you guys expect from getting a type of return investment? So obviously, with all these new technologies being incorporated, data is always going to be the new currency, right? A strong business needs a strong supply chain. This reduces cost and loss.
So after more than 15,000 lines of code, 24 hours of development, 0 hours of sleep, we developed a working prototype that we can be proud of. We can see that we designed all the front end and back end, the logo. Each user has its own database that he can access as a dashboard in our web application. In the dashboard, the user has access to what we call a management document system AI. The user can import their documents, and the AI will get the most important features from that document. Essentially, automatization of those feature extractions. Most of those PDFs may be scanned by a scanner, and because you cannot do control find on those documents, it can be sometimes difficult to read all of them and see where you can find them. We can see that we can find those documents by using keywords that our dashboard understands, and then we can find the PDF that you're looking for. So in this case, we exploited the new technologies of GPT in the backend, abstracting everything. Instead of asking the user for prompts, we only ask him for a document, and we then compute all the necessary information. This can also allow us to make even more complex diagrams.
So here we see a diagram of what I meant of visualizing the whole supply chain. This is a really simple example. You're just buying lumber and cement for a contractor, but we made all the invoices through some different generative processes. But this diagram you see here is what a good chunk of our code went to. A good chunk of those 6,000 lines, like 60,000 including different imports and things we were based on. But really being able to connect all the dots and then cutting the dots that are not relevant out. That's the process that was unique to us and what leverages the technology to give you the most functionality.
That's right.
I would also like to add that in this case we focused on invoices and other standard documents, but as a student I have a ton of quizzes, a ton of notes that are sometimes given by the professor as a sheet that I can then scan. Then I can use this AI management system to get the best keywords that represent that document. Then I can just search for those keywords and get those documents back.
All right, questions from the judges.
I'm going to take the bait. I thought you brought up a great point on data privacy and differential on that. So that's one of the biggest barriers, right, in terms of getting companies to adopt. Sometimes their competitive advantage is knowing where the gaps in the market are. So why would I necessarily want to show or just showcase that? And so, and you talk about data privacy. What is your principles driving your data privacy strategy?
Great question. So our approach to data privacy was only giving the information needed. What we thought is that if I'm buying wood from a supplier, I don't need to know, or the supplier wouldn't want me to know what their profit margin is, right? But it's useful for the economy as a whole and as a consumer to know my supply chain and also the strength of it. So through these diagrams, we can identify the weaknesses in the supply chain as well as how vulnerable I am to sudden shifts. So we're not trying to predict where the supply chain is moving. We're trying to give you the best path that's available now.
It's real time.
Real time, yeah, with the different invoices updated from our network. So if you go back to our slides, we had where we explained our two main functionalities, which is give you the data and then build the network. And just getting usability out of your data is a service that a lot of people already pay for, and this technology does it really, really well. You saw just a keyword finds anything relevant, and that's what we're giving out for free. Our business model is more of like similar to other, like Facebook, right? So connections between people are really complicated, and we have social media to kind of model that. But connections in the supply chain are equally complicated or more. And that's why we have Supply Sense. That's why we can build these diagrams and show you where your weaknesses are.
Can you take a spec sheet from an architectural firm and run it through, and then the list of materials, will those materials be populated in this report?
Yeah, so our model works with a lot of different documents. It really finds if the relevant information is anywhere in there, it finds it. So we focus more on different like purchasing stuff to find where your stuff is coming from. But I guess you're referring more of like hypothetical materials that I would buy, and what's the best way to get those?
Yeah, it's kind of like the first comment or the first presentation that was made in terms of supply chain issues, trying to find a piece of material or material that's equal to or better than what is spec'd out, because that's some of the issues that we have, that they spec out a certain type of HVAC unit, but they're not producing in a fast enough time, and we got to build a school, we got to get kids into that school, so we have to offer a different product. Will that will that be able to apply that as well?
Yeah. So there's definitely some privacy concerns there because other users are uploading their invoices and we're getting their sources. But it's definitely possible. We have the capability for it. There is just some kind of business goals and designs. We have to get around there, but we do have the capability for it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.